All right. As we're getting ready, each of us has a couple of opportunities today and every day. And one of them is to increase income. Show of hands if you'd like to make more money this year, if that's on your agenda to make more money. Excellent. Who would like to do it with less time? Like to make more money with less time and effort and sacrifice put into it. Perfect. So we can't make more time out of our lives. We can't force the world to give us more hours. In fact, one of the things that you will discover as we get older is that we can't get our time back. Show of hands, we've already discovered that. So you can't get your time back. You can't get the hours back, the moments back. And so it's really important for us to be efficient in our earning and in our learning and in the things that we're doing. So today on this call, I would like to be able to give you a gift, one of the gifts of solace, knowing that you are moving in the right direction, but also creating a little bit of extra momentum with you. Show of hands if you don't mind a little unfair advantage. And yes, Michael, the book you just texted me is exactly the book of the week. You've got it. That's a little teaser. So later on, we will review the book of the week. Every week we do these wealth principles. We have a book of the week. We have an action step. We have a little guided meditation. Make sure that we go and do it automatically, almost virtually force you to be successful. We've been on this mission for the last 5 years. Well, technically, it's 4 years and 42 weeks, technically, because the 52 weeks to wealth is a journey. Show of hands, we've been on this journey for at least 1 year. This is maybe your first year in the journey. Excellent. Who's been on for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years? Awesome. Let's give our OGs a big round of applause. This is our fifth season of the 52 Weeks to Wealth. And on this journey, we have wealth principles. This wealth principle is wealth principle 42. Give the impression of increase and advancement. Now, this principle sounds ambiguous. It does not sound like a clear-cut, dry concept. In fact, when you're looking at business principles, the concept of giving an impression seems a little flimsy. Who here believes that business should just be factual? They should just work off of what they know. Who's heard people think this way? Right? There's people like it should just be my work speaks for itself. My product speaks for itself. My product is the best, so everybody should want it. Well, unfortunately, that's not how business works. Who here has had a great product that nobody purchased? Anybody, early startups had a big, great product that was amazing and people weren't purchasing, they didn't know about it. So we know that just a great product alone is not how business actually grows. Now, it's important to have a great product. So I don't want to disregard that. It's important, by the way, if you don't have a great product, go build one. But it's also important that people know about it. And inside one of our training programs, we actually talk about this all often. Show of hands if you've been on the Recession Proof Challenge before. RPC graduates, Recession Proof members, excellent. So the Recession Proof Challenge, we talk about this concept of it's not about who you know. By the way, who here knows Elon Musk? Heard of him? You know his business. If I say Elon, you're like, he owns these businesses. Maybe, he's got the X thing, he's got the SpaceX thing, he's got the Tesla. He would have called Tesla X thing, and he's got all these different businesses. He's got a child named X. So the guy has a bunch of information that each of you know. He's also the richest guy in the planet. Sometimes depends on where the other guys are moving and what he's done that day. If he smokes a little reefer, he goes down in the polls, but then he comes right back up. So we know that Elon is known by us. True or true? This is a fact. We all know who he is. Perfect. Now, also true. He doesn't know you. Show of hands if that's true. He does not know you. He's never had a conversation with you. He's never sent you a text. His famous tweets were never directly sent to you. So it's not about who you know. It's about who knows you and what they know you for. And that's what this principle is going to dive into today, so that we're known for things like advancement, things like increase, because people are attracted to those who are like them, but they're even more attracted to those who are the way they want to be. And this is an inherent human concept. We can't get past it. We as marketers are always looking to position ourselves and say, look, you could live this way. You could get to here. And then we want to make sure that we are being in that space. So, fans, if you are also a marketer in your business, the marketer, the CEO, the salesperson, the operations, your finance, you do check the bills. You seem to be administration too, just making sure all the things are working. Your tech, who here's ever had a tech problem in their company and you looked around and it was you who had to solve it? The printer jammed up. Awesome. All right, give yourselves a round of applause, entrepreneurs. You know what to do. All right, so let's dive into this principle. Before we go in, if you currently are not feeling great or high energy, let me make a suggestion. Feel great. Feel high energy. Just sense it for a moment. Get to the space where you do feel that. And for those of you who are like, that doesn't work that way, you're wrong. it actually does work that way. Once you start thinking about feeling better and feeling good, it creates in you. And so if we were to do that with this concept of advancement and increase, we might start advancing and increasing. In fact, if I start talking about moving forward and walking forward, in fact, inside your mind, you might start noticing that it's time to move. It's time to, I see Billy just lean forward. It's time to like do a thing differently. That is an initial reaction to a person discussing something. So our thought, our movement was initially reacted just because we heard an idea. We thought it at first, and then we felt like we were compelled to move or to do a thing. Advancement is similar to that. Advancement is a moving to the right, right? Moving forward, or if we're on a chart, it's moving to the right. Increase would be moving up on the chart or growing. Show of hands, if you ever looked at a chart, a stock that moved up and to the right and it made you feel good. Has anybody seen that? The up and to the right, it's usually colored in green, has a good association to it. Has anybody seen a chart go down and to the right? It's usually red and it makes you feel a little, no, don't do that. Not today. Those are feelings. Those are feelings that we can experience from thoughts that we first had. And I want to make sure that we understand that we thought it first, we perceived it first, then we had an emotional experience around it. True or true? That was the exact order of things. It wasn't, I was feeling good or feeling bad, and then the thought came. It was the thought created the feeling. And then what we do after that, some people, when things go down, they sell. Some people, when things go up, they sell. Hopefully you sell. Remember the principle of all real estate, all investing, all stocks is buy low, sell high, right? Or for massive success, write this one down. Massive success, millionaire, multimillionaire status, buy and hold forever. Write that one down. Buy and hold forever. That's what the most successful people have done. They bought and then they held. Many times they leveraged, they pull the money out, but they bought and they held and they held and they held and held and held. Because success comes from how long you can hold it, not how much you bought. It's not about volume and success. It's about how long you can hold these assets. We all know somebody who bought in Boston, anywhere where I grew up, we all know somebody who bought a house for $50,000 30 years ago that is worth $2 million today. So it's that story is all over the place, all across this country, but especially in the major cities along the coast. So we all know that that person didn't get any smarter. They didn't work any harder, true or true. They just lived in their house like everybody else has been doing. They just happened to have bought it in the right area. They bought it at a time where it was inevitably going to go up. So that advancement occurred. Thoughts lead to, let me restate, thoughts lead to feelings, feelings lead to action, actions lead to results. We may not always like our results, but they do lead to results. Inside your business, there is always an opportunity to have more people coming to you. We've known the difference of pushing and talking into the world and customers just coming to us. Which one do you prefer? Should drop in the chat. When you have to contact 100 people or 100 people are trying to contact you, drop in the chat. Which one is preferable to you? The first one would be very much an aggressive sales position where it's like, call, hey, come work with me, come work with me. Think the hawker outside of the Japanese restaurant inside the mall. They're like, do you want this? Do you want this? Do you want this? They're very aggressive and going out and pulling in. And then you look at the Taco Bell line, which is always jammed up. It's because people just are coming to Taco Bell because it's got a very clear message and it's super delicious. And everybody in the world loves Taco Bell except for the few of you who are wrong. And I totally sympathize. There's always going to be somebody out there who's wrong. By the way, Mike, it's like the closest to vegan you can get. It really is like as close to vegan in the chain restaurants until you build yours. And then vegan Shine restaurants are available all across the country. So yeah, Del Taco, yes, on the West Coast, on the West Coast. So this concept of it sucks, right? I'm reading the chat. It sucks to have to go and reach out to customers. It's annoying, it's frustrating, it's painful, it's time consuming. But it's so much easier when the customer comes to us. And then because then all we have to do is shift over from sales to customer service. Like, hey, well, what do you want? What color do you want? What flavor do you want? How much do you want? How big do you want? Where do you want to buy? It becomes a much easier strategy when we're just taking care of people who are coming to us. And so that's what today's principle is designed to get you to be able to do. We want to position ourselves in the world as advancing. People are naturally attracted to advancement. People are naturally attracted to things that are going to move them forward. People are naturally attracted to things that are going to get them more, things that look like they're going in an upward direction. Here's why the stock market makes so much money and also loses more people money than it makes them. People are addicted to the up and to the right. When they see a stock growing, when they see a stock moving, just movement on a stock will get them excited about it. But when they see a stock moving up into the right, growing, basically increasing and advancing into the charts, people buy it. They have to buy it. They can't help themselves. What if they miss? Oh my God, look, it's growing. This is a guarantee. Look at this. It's going up. It's going up. People look at things in the past. I'm just talking about the stock market right now, right? Just by the way, show fans, we all have this experience. That's why I'm using it. We all have a stock market experience or a crypto experience. Excellent. You look back on the business and you're like, whoa, look at how cheap it was before. Look at how much it's come up. If I miss out, I miss out on a huge opportunity to increase. And so people who have no knowledge about stocks will start talking about stocks. I remember a few years back, everybody's telling me about GameStop, and I just looking around, I was like, you are kidding me. This company fundamentally has nothing underneath it. And yet you with no knowledge, no investment knowledge, no dollars are purchasing and in writing this thing up. And I watched people lose. I watched people lose money because they were caught up in this idea of the stock is advancing, the stock is growing, it's going up in value. It's so exciting and so attractive. Everybody was talking about the fact that it kept going up and kept going up and kept going up. So, fans, you remember this time, unforgettable time in history, GameStop. That's right. The fundamental belief system is that if a thing is growing, we should get into it. If a thing is doing well, if it's moving forward in the direction that we think is successful, we should get into it. We want to get more. And this is actually also a psychological, well, it's cognitive bias. If a thing is doing well, it'll continue to do well. And we study this, right? As investors, as business owners, as trainers and coaches and teachers, we study that social proof, the movement of other people makes people move. The positive belief system around a thing makes people move. The thing going up, proof, positive proof that it can be successful, makes people move. And what direction do they move in? Towards the advancement. They move towards the increase. So how do we apply this to your business? There are applicable spaces all over your life, by the way, but mostly in your business to change your positioning in your marketplace, how the world perceives you. You make your post on social media thinking nothing of it, right? You have the conversations with your friends thinking just conversations. You have conversations with new people. It's just conversation, whatever. You're sending out a message to your customers, or you're talking about the business, or you're trying to bring on new customers, you're selling, you're marketing, you're doing all these different components, and your words are just coming out of your mouth. Just they feel like the right thing to do at the time, and so you're just doing it. But what if I shared with you that there's a very specific way to create momentum, and it's right around this concept of perception. You are growing, by the way. Show of hands if your business is growing. Each of you has aspects of your business that are growing, that are improving. Excellent. Who here, everybody has, just show of hands if you have advancement in your business. It seems to be moving forward. It's developing something new, even if it's a lesson, it's developing, something is developing. There's some sort of ground being taken. And yet you're not talking about that all the time as your main feature, the main thing coming. I'll give you the example of Elon Musk. Dude is talking about a certain destination that he's never been to, and that to date, no living being has ever been to. In fact, we've smashed more items on the surface of Mars than we have landed correctly. We've got a worse track record landing on Mars than we do of getting there. So we know how to smash shit onto the planet, but we're not very good at getting things there in a way where it still works afterwards. Imagine the concept of throwing humans at this planet, this giant dartboard 8 months away, flying through the universe at 50,000 miles per minute. It's 50,000 miles per hour. It's a very fast target, and it's pointed like a dart. Has anybody seen these big ships? They're very, very familiar design. And yet people are investing in SpaceX and X and Tesla because of this massive, ridiculous goal. Who here believes you could have a bigger goal and you could talk about it more often? Actually, here's a fun one. Who here already has a bigger goal than the way their business runs today? Already has a bigger vision for their business, already sees the income going up, already has a plan. Perfect. One, give yourselves a round of applause. You believe in yourself. It's really important for entrepreneurship. If you don't believe, well, guess what? You won't show up tomorrow. And one of the principles I learned from Gary is the most powerful leadership principle is showing up, is one of the most powerful leadership principles. As a leader, by the way, if you don't show up, why should your people? If you don't show up, certainly no leadership will occur. So the most important principle to leadership, I learned this the other night in Gainesville when Gary was speaking, was that showing up is the first step. Is the most important principle. Well, it's the same in your business. If you don't show up in the marketplace, one, they won't know you because people only do business with people they know, like, and trust. Let me talk about liking and trusting because that's what this principle is. Advance and increasement are what make a person like you. If you're advancing, if you're moving forward in the world, if you remind them of themselves or you remind them of who they want to be, how they want to be, people will be naturally attracted to you. So advancement is necessary in your business. You must communicate that you are advancing. Who your knows to communicate that a lot better. Now, let me share an example. Here's a customer who did really well. I'll use Ken Ingram. Ken Ingram recently, well, it's getting old now. Ken Ingram a few months ago purchased a hotel, 19 keys, with 10% down because he used partial seller financing, and he acquired the property with almost a little over $1 million of equity in it on day one. Then later on, found out there was actually $2 million of equity in it because the cash flows are significantly higher because the previous owner was not recording his cash income. And so Ken found that and said, well, looks like there's more equity in this building than I thought when I purchased it. And Ken did that after 6 months in the mastermind. He joined the mastermind. And then within 60 days of finding the deal, he closed the deal. So made $2 million of equity that he paid no taxes on. That is an example of someone who's advancing. We just had Fatimat come into the mastermind not too long ago. And around the same time, Fatimat's now looking at hotels. She's looking to purchase and acquire hotels. We had Michael Gabriel come into the mastermind recently. He was in the mastermind, he was in the mentorship years back, and now in the new version of the mastermind with Vinny Chopra in it, Michael's coming in. He said, man, like, okay, now I own a rental property. Now I'm going to buy all of Cleveland. I'm going to buy the whole city of Cleveland, Ohio. It's like, I'm just doing it because that's where I'm from. I'm from the hood, and so I'm going to buy the hood. I left. I made money as a marketer. I'm coming back. I'm going to buy it all. Right? This mindset is what's infectious inside of our mastermind. It's uncontrollably moving people towards the next level. So let's give all of our mastermind members a big round of applause. I love bragging about the successes we see inside of the group. I know Lauren is looking at deals. I know Fatimat's looking at deals. I know that a few of you, in fact, are coming back and engaging more at a higher level. Why is that working for success inside the mastermind? It's because everybody is advancing. They see one person do it, so everybody moves forward. So in your business, talking about the successes of your community, right? Greg LeBlanc just took a ton of education. He's closed 9 months ago or 10 months ago on a 35-unit building with none of his own money out of pocket. He later on did have to invest a little bit, but he's got two great partners who are raising most of the capital and doing that deal. And now he's looking at 108 units in Decatur, Illinois. He had management issues. He went through the whole gamut of stuff, but he had a great team. And now he's moving into a property that's 3 times the size. He's got the confidence now to put those offers in to do that size deal. So fans, if this is encouraging, that advancement is exciting, right? You listen to it. So in your marketing message, write this down really quickly. In your marketing message, I want you to increase the amount of times you talk about your customers' success and also the goals that you have for your customers. I recently shared that I was going to be updating the Millionaire Path Report, and me and Gary were talking about it last night. We're like, why don't we call it the Financial Freedom Report? Because that's really what it is, right? It's really about financial freedom and getting you to the next level. And I was in a poll. I was in Gainesville this week, and I asked the whole room. I was like, "Hey guys, what do you want me to talk about next month? Because I'm coming back next month, right?" And they were saying things. They weren't saying anything. I was like, "Here's my options," because they don't know me, right? Like, let me give you some options. How I made 1.5 million in a year and paid no taxes. And I was like, how I made $300,000 in a month and paid taxes. And I just like flippantly was like, yo, how I became financially free, how you can become financially free. And the whole room raised their hands on, we want to know how to become financially free. And so in that moment, I mean, I kind of knew for years, but in that moment, I realized Gainesville doesn't give a fuck about making a lot of money. Gainesville cares very deeply for getting financially free, for not having to work ever again. And so that became my adjustment. So by the way, Alchemist Nation will be shifting towards a deeper focus on financial freedom, starting with our Millionaire Path Report, shifting and putting some components in it that talk more about financial freedom versus here's how you get a whole bunch of net worth. So if that's extremely valuable, super exciting, awesome. That right there is advancement. I'm tipping you towards something that I haven't even done yet. I'm just telling you this is the direction I'm going in. I plan to go and get this thing made to be better for you. Now, shifting to the next part, increase. Can you, in any way in your business, increase your customer situation, whether it's financially, love related, or physical health? Show of hands if you increase one of the returns, the return that they get in their life. Excellent, excellent, excellent. So communicating that increase by showing case studies inside your business at all times and using case studies. I actually just gave you that example of Ken Ingram. By the way, who here believes the mastermind can make somebody $1 million, $2 million? We believe that. Oh, I just watched a video by Alex Hermosi, who I know you all know. He's the guy who has the long hair and he never wears pants. Show of hands if you know who Alex Hermosi is. Seen him on Instagram. He's got the Crocs. He's thinking about putting his own shoe line out. He's got to call them the Mosies. Gonna be like Crocs that are like sneakers. There you go. Mike Shine's got his book, $100 million offers. All right, let's give Mike Shine a big round of applause. He's the keeper of the books. It's crazy. It's insane. All right. Alex said this in a video. He said, I've reviewed 2,000 ads, 2,000 ads that we did. And he said, of the top 50, 80% of them were all proof ads, which means they were proving that it's possible for the customer. They're proof ads, just saying, hey, look, and he said, and then 20%, the other 10 of them were education ads. They were like, hey, here's my knowledge on the topic. So the top 50 ads out of 2,000 were proof ads. And then he said, even those 10% that were like education ads, he's like, that's actually kind of proof because I'm just saying I know how to do this better than other people. So you should just do it with me. So the top 50 performing ads out of 2,000 ended up being proof ads, which is Wealth Principle 42, give the impression of advancement and increase in all of your communications. And whether it be the transaction of a stick of gum to a little child or a piece of candy to a little child. Show of hands if you've read The Science of Getting Rich before, familiar with that phrase, that sentence, that concept. So we want to move forward in our marketing, in our message, in our customer service, in our clients, in our people who work for us, that there is a way for them to advance within our own company. I had this conversation with Melanie Santos a couple of weeks ago. I said, look, your staff that's coming in as sandwich artists need to know that there's another tier. They need to know they can get to the next level and the next level. There needs to be manager in training. I don't care. It doesn't have to be manager, but it could be team leader. All right. And then that team leader could be training for a management position. It could be store opener, right? Maybe it's just a person just opens stores. It's not the store manager, but they're an assistant manager. You need layers to your business so that there's constantly people who are fighting for the next level because people will do better when they see the ability for them to advance within your business, within your career. By the way, show of hands if you would love other people to do all the work you do right now and make more money. Excellent. So at the summit, that's what we're going to be talking about. We're talking about increase of income and removing your time, which means training other people. It means hiring other people. It means bringing people in. And if you're thinking, oh my God, I don't have the money to hire or train other people, the first position to hire or train is sales in your company. Hiring and training salespeople in your company is the first step to be able to hire and train operations or other roles within the company, marketing and other components. By the way, marketing is not the first thing you spend your money on when it comes to hiring people. It is sales, because if you hire marketing, then sales becomes capped, right? So you bring in sales first, and then you bring in marketing so that you can scale both together. But marketing scales the problem of needing sales. Show of hands if that makes sense. And if you've never done it before, man, I'd done it. I went and I scaled up marketing, I had 20,000 leads sitting in my CRM that I couldn't get to. It was painful, expensive. We just deleted 6,000 people out of the CRM we were not right. We just hadn't communicated to them in 2 years. And we said, you know what? Alchemist Nation's got to get better. So we're bringing on coaches. We're bringing on better quality coaches who reach out and dig into our audience and dig into our CRM so that we can actually be conservative, like helping them and keeping those leads going all the way through. One of my biggest regrets in my company is that I haven't served people I said I would serve, right? Like, unless they paid me, like if they paid me, we took care of them. But the freebies, the people who would have paid us, the people who would have come through those leads in marketing that we never took care of, That to me is my biggest failure in business is I got a whole bunch of people, made a whole bunch of promises, and then never showed them how to pay, never showed them how to click, never showed them like, hey, by the way, here's where you pay. So providing that increase into their lives means charging the customer. If you want to get them to increase, they're going to have to pay. In fact, I talked about this a lot this week with the team. Um, has anybody ever paid a lot of money for a thing? Like a lot of money, like a lot of money, and then not returned it? Has anybody paid a lot of money for a thing that they didn't return? All right. Because you paid so much, you didn't return it. Sometimes is the case because you paid so much, it was so much money organized, like a car or a vehicle or a house. It's like, you know what? I'm just not, it was so much work to get to this, to pile this money up. We're not going to return it. And then because you paid so much, you take it better care of it. Has anybody had that experience where you spent a lot of money on something, you took better care of it? So we were talking about how do we make our coaching program better? Now we believe that we have the greatest coaching program in the continental United States. We really had that conversation like this week. We were like, how do we make it better? And we were like, dude, it's at the point where we're better than everybody else. Personal opinion? No. We've built 31 millionaires in the last 4 years. It's actual facts. Like we actually have a proof behind this. And so we were like, okay, so we have the greatest program. What are we missing? And I looked at the team and I said, we're missing the price because sometimes you got to pay a lot of money and you'll do it just because you did. You'll literally use a program, show up to every single call, squeeze every drop of juice out of it because you paid. And so I want you to look at your business right now and say, am I charging enough to get my customer to pay attention? Am I charging enough for them to actually perceive the value of my business? And this is not a, oh man, like you should charge more thing. This is a genuine question of, are you charging enough for them to actually appreciate what you're doing? And if you're not, it could be one of the reasons they jump out. Now, the caveat to this is if you're a monthly subscription, the more you charge, the harder it gets to justify the next one and the next one and the next one. So it really helps. This is really stronger. This conversation is stronger for initial purchase. But then the lag of monthly payments should be significantly lower so it doesn't feel like a big purchase every single time. So if that makes sense. Subscriptions should be lower, but the initial purchase could be bigger to guarantee the subscription going forward. Because if they paid enough, but they got to spend this little bit to maintain it, they will. Because, I mean, they've already put all this money into it. They've got to maintain that asset for the long period of time. So, friends, we've seen this in other businesses all over the place. All right. So, going back to the principle, the very core of this, you want to show increase and advancement in all things that you do. I know it's embarrassing to show gym pictures, especially when you're not where you want to be, right? Anybody not where they want to be right now? Am I the only one? All right, cool. So it's really hard to show pictures and videos of you in the gym doing things that aren't where you want to be. Who here's business is not where you want it to be. It's not the level, it's not big enough, it's not fast enough, it's not growing enough, it's not increasing income enough. Yeah, so we don't, it's hard for us to want to share about like the behind the scenes of what we're doing or what's coming next, or maybe the next thing might be a failure. But in reality, we have to share our failures in order for people to even have a gauge of where our success is going or where it has come from. Because that's what people gauge on. They don't gauge on, boom, there you are. They gauge on where you came from. And if they don't have any of that history in your story while it's happening right now, then they won't be able to say, oh, I remember when you were here. I've really seen you grow. I've really seen you expand. By the way, who here has people who've seen you grow and expand? They've said it to you, right? Wow, you've really come a long way. Wow, you're really doing cool things. You still got a long way to go. And so it's really important to show some of that vulnerability, but also in a frame that shows the advancement of it. Don't just show vulnerability without showing the next layer of where you're going. I'm very clear with this. Increase in advancement needs context. So it's wonderful to state that you're awesome, but please first state you're awesome and state that you weren't, and then restate where you're going. And it should always be higher than where you are today. Let's give everybody on the call a big round of applause. We're going to dive into a quick action step. And by the way, some of the benefits of implementing this will be increased attraction. More people will come to you, enhanced credibility, boost of confidence, motivation for others, and a competitive edge. So your action steps are going to be taking regular updates, documenting them. If you can document them publicly, even better. Well, here's one that you don't want to document publicly, but I've been rejiggering our net worth spreadsheet. Anybody, show of hands if you filled out our net worth spreadsheet at some point. Inside Alchemy Station, we track our net worth. That's actually how we get your income to get to the next level. It's how we create financial freedom as we do track net worth. And one of the things I was calling it was a net worth tracker. And yeah, it didn't have a tracking feature. All it did was you'd fill it out and you knew where it was today. And it was kind of a static form. Like you fill it out and you knew where you were today. So yesterday I was doing my net worth tracker with Dorina and she said, man, this is such a better document than what you have the community using. And I, for a moment, was like, whoops, holy shit, you're right. My personal net worth tracker that I use to do all of my net worth is not just a little better than the one I give you, it's a lot better. It shows my equity, it shows my return on equity for the asset, it shows my income. It's a much better document for me to go and say, here's where I'm at, here's why I'm at, here's where I need to change things and shift and make adjustments. And even though it's not where I want it to be, Dorina said, can you send that to me? And I was like, well, it's not, it's hard for people to use. She's like, yeah, but it's better than the one I'm using. It's harder to use, but it's better than the one she's using. And something in that conversation made me say, you know what we could do? If I was going to make this for the community, I should add an actual tracker, an actual history. So when you fill it out, you can take the bottom line numbers and bring them over to this other tab for January, for February, for March. And then you'd see my real estate went up, my stocks went down, and then my stocks went up, my real estate flatlined, my crypto went way down. Kidding, Mitch, kidding. My business has been steadily going up. And it actually, the trend line shows very clearly over a chart. So track regular updates of what you're doing. Document where you're at each month, and it's going to help you show your customers where you've been at. I know Ken Ingram in this hotel. It's like, Ken, like just track the month of January. How many occupancies did you have? How many in February? How many in March? When you start sharing, wow, look, guys, we were 80% when I bought it. Now we're at 99%. Now we're at 106% because I rented out the roof. Right? You start showing the increase and the advancement and the things that you've done. Tracking your customers is going to be like Michael Gabriel works in marketing. So tracking how many customers he has and their results, like those are components that I know he's doing. And but also putting that out publicly and saying, and I know he does this too, but putting out publicly and saying, hey, of all my customers, here's the one who's crushing it. Let me tell you why. So fans, you want to know that content? Of course we do, right? Anybody who would be a customer wants to know. This is for each of you, right? Regular updates. Keep your audience informed about your latest achievements, improvements, and plans for the future through newsletters, social media, and other communications. Number two, innovate continuously. Invest in new technologies, training, and processes that enhance your business and demonstrate ongoing improvement. If you don't use your product, why should anybody else? Right? I use my own net worth tracker. I use a different net worth tracker than the one I give you, which is embarrassing. Like when Dorina called me out, I was like, holy shit, you're right. I've built something very customized, very special and advanced that I haven't been giving the community. So I'm going to continue innovating in my own life, but I'm also going to continue innovating in your life. That's my objective is over the next, call it 30 days to have this net worth tracker to be a little cleaner, a little simpler, a little more organized, because I do have things in multiple places that don't need to be in multiple places. They were just my own perspective. And I built it, half-assed. I'm going to redo it and build it nice for you. Show fans if that's better than the chaos that it is today. Yes. But it will be better than the one you have regardless. So continuously innovate. Number two, continuously innovate. Next action step. So I want you to write down so for number one, regular updates. What is one channel you could communicate and update to your community at least once a week? Just write it down. There was one chance. So it's an action step, right? I don't want you to just have like the information of here's how you could do it. I want you to actually write down on a piece of paper one thing you will do this week. What is one channel you will communicate to your audience, and what advancement will you communicate to your audience? So Jeremy Roadbrook, he's taking on new clients to help them increase their income. He's been known for helping people with their relationship challenges, and now he's looking to help them with a relationship with money and help them get to increasing their customers, working with more customers, having better conversations with customers. He's trained as an NLP practitioner. He's been a coach for years. He's certified in many different types of coaching. And so now as he's regularly updating people, he doesn't have to put names out there because, we're coaches and we want to make sure our clients are privacy is remained. Although sometimes our clients are like, fuck yeah, I like tell everybody my business is growing, right? Because that's the impression of increase and advancement. And I want more business. So he can actually go and share and track one time a month a post about an entrepreneur, whether it's a client or not, and just say, hey, this is the conversation I had. They put these changes into place, and this is the success that happened. For Mitch Jorsky, and maybe here's a stock trade I made, here's a success I had, and here's why I made that decision, or crypto trade. For Mitch Jorsky, for Michael Shine, it may be here's a closing that we did, here's how much my client made, and here's how much I saved them in my title research in making sure that it was done right. Or here's the lunch I had with my realtor because he closed with me, and I always do sushi with my realtors. And here's another sushi, right? And so having those be regular updates that you can provide to your audience. So fans, we all have that's a great example. We know how to plug this into our business. All right, just write one down for you. The channel you're going to promote it on, and then the activity that you're consistently going to post. And then the third one is the day you'll do it. The day you'll do it. Because if it's not written on the calendar, it's not real. And I really want this to move. I really want you to be advancing, right? I'm not going to hang out with a bunch of losers. I want people in this community who are like moving forward. That's my goal. I want each of you to be moving forward and advancing. So when I show up, my posse's showing up, everybody's like, dude, that's a wave. That's a wave of people who are transforming people's lives. It's an impact wave, right? People know when you're there that whoever you're hanging with is also moving forward. So if they don't know me, but they know you, man, whoever that tribe is, that's insane. That's a group of people moving forward. So make sure you're posting at least once a week somewhere. It could be in your newsletter, it could be in social media. And I want you to celebrate your success of ideally one of your clients. Or if it's your business is you doing things, cool, do that, celebrate. Number two, innovate continuously, invest in new technologies, write something down that you could improve that would not cost you much money, not cost you much time, but it would improve the quality of life for your customers. For me, this net worth tracker is that thing. I'm like, it's like not a lot of time for me to go fix, but the amount of improvement in the lives of Alchemist Nation is huge. It's monster. It's exponential. So that's, to me, a thing that I wrote down. So what is a innovation, whether it's technology, training, or a process that you can enhance your business to demonstrate ongoing improvement? You don't have to have it done today, but what is something you will start talking about to your people that this is coming? Number three, celebrate milestones. Publicly celebrate and showcase your milestones and successes to reinforce the impression of continual advancement. We've got the summit coming up. I'm very excited. We have over 80 people already registered. These are already paid tickets, already ready to go be at the summit. We know our millionaires are typically our last minute purchasers, so they're going to be coming anyway. We got verbals, they're coming. And at the summit, we're going to have Vinny Chopra. Vinny will be celebrating all of your successes with us on Friday night. So when you show up and you're there, and Thursday, if you show up early, Thursday we'll be networking with our VIPs. So we'll be celebrating all the wins, all of the opportunities, and then over the weekend, we're going to be working towards better opportunities for the entire year. I look at the 80-20 of the 80-20 to 80-20, that's 80%, 20% of the 80-20 is 4. And then 20% of 4 is 1%. So if you look at one weekend, 365 days of the year, 1% of that year is one weekend. It's 3.5 days. So we're going to spend the most powerful weekend together. And I'll ask you again when we get there, let's make this the most powerful weekend of our lives for our families, for our tribe, for our community, for our bodies, for our minds, for our businesses. And we're going to spend the rest of the year sticking to the plan that we put in place. Now, if the plan ends up being a bad plan, we're going to change and adjust because the goal remains the same. We're going to be unrelenting in the goal. But the plan we put together, we put together with the smartest minds in the room who have built millionaires, who have doubled their income, increased their net worth, doubled their net worth. In fact, I looked at my net worth this week, and it's only $4.3 million. And it's been hanging around. I'm going to give you some honesty. It's been hanging around $4 and $5 million for the last 2 years. And I told Mitch Jorsky yesterday, I was like, this shit's got to change. We're going after the 25 mil. Like that's this next 12 months, I am going after, I'm going to catch up to where I should have been And that's why I've been pushing Alchemist Nation as hard as I've been pushing. That's why I've been pushing each of you to go and invest in real estate and learn these skills. And that's why we're bringing on the coaches. Me and Gary had the conversation. Like that, we can't have a guy telling everybody double your net worth when he's not doubling his net worth. So I'm working. But fortunately, my plan says I can do it. The path I have set up currently says that I can do it. So we're moving forward and we're pushing. And even if you had a slow last year or a slow year before, I don't care. The goal doesn't change. We just get a little more creative about how we get there. Show of hands, that's true for you? Excellent. I love it. Yeah, Mike, 4.3 million. I was like, what the hell? We gotta go fix this. Let's go. All right. So every week we do a guided meditation, but I'm going to do it after the book of the week. I'll do it quick. We'll do it very quick. Take a deep breath in. Close your eyes. If you're driving, keep your eyes open. The affirmations for advancing and increase are straightforward. So we're not going to go crazy with the music, but I do want you to take a deep breath in. I want you to close your eyes. I want you to think about for a moment your business where you want it to be. Visualize the income level where you want it to be. Visualize the clients and customer base where you want it to be. Visualize the effortlessness of it happening without you. I understand that today it requires you. Many of you are solopreneurs, you're entrepreneurs who have some staff or no staff. But let's just pretend you were able to nail my business plan down at the summit and implement it over the next year. And let's just pretend that for the next 6 months, 12 months, you knew for sure that you were advancing and increasing in every way possible. Every day in every way, you feel yourself moving forward and you feel yourself advancing. And not only is it a feeling, but your customers see the same. And they're obsessed with working with you. They have to get in now. While even though you may perceive your prices as high, they perceive your prices as super affordable because they know where they are going. They know the price continues to increase as you work with more and more people, and your quality and your customer service gets better and better, and you're hiring better and better staff to pull yourself out of the business. Well, the prices have to go up in order to justify and pay for that staff. And so they're lucky to get you now in this beginning opportunity of the company. And yes, of course, I always look at my company as beginning. Sure. Rarely will I look back and say, wow, I've been doing this for 7 years. Most of the time, I'm just like, well, what's today bring? Where are we going? What is the next big direction? So, advancing and increasing income, advancing and increasing happiness, advancing and increasing customer service, customer reviews, customer satisfaction, customer input into your bank account. By the way, every customer is an investor. Every one of them is investing in your business, investing in their own future, investing in your relationship with them. So see the advancement, feel the advancement, sense the advancement and the increase. Notice that you are an advancing person who advances all around you. Notice now that if a person comes into contact with you, they are immediately aware of your ability to advance and increase their lives. And they know because you're a good person who does things morally, ethically, and legally that whatever advancement or increase you provide, they get to keep and they get to use freely. So take another deep breath in, and as we exhale, exhale any disbelief or any old doubt that was in your head around your business, around the way things are, and just take one more deep breath in, remembering that there are people out there running great businesses that run without them, that have massive impact, that have massive income, and it is possible for you too. And inside this community, we have done it. Many of our leaders are financially free teaching, coaching, training because we love teaching others what we figured out because we wanted it ourselves. And I believe that you'll be one of those. So open your eyes, take another deep breath in, exhale. Remember, the mission is to build 100 millionaires who are inspired to build 100 millionaires. So each one of you has somehow raised the cup, whether it was figuratively, physically, or mentally in your mind saying, yeah, I'm going to build 100 millionaires. It's also a big part of your life. And as you're doing it, remember, it's easier than we think. And it's, harder than we think too. But if it wasn't hard, it wouldn't be worth it. Let's give each one of you a big round of applause. It's a book of the week. The reason we do these books is because throughout the week, this principle, we took, 40 minutes to go through this. This principle is wonderful. It's a principle. This principle will never change. Year after year after year, this principle will remain the same. It'll be powerful and impactful, and a deeper understanding of it could be beneficial. So there's a book each week that we leverage to get a deeper understanding of the principle of the week. And this book was actually one of Michael Shine's favorites. So Michael is our holistic attorney. He's done a lot of closings for me. So we call him the closer. And he's also the keeper of the books, and he's helped me build and identify the right books for these principles for the last 5 years. So let's give Michael Shine, the keeper of the books, the holistic attorney, the closer, a big round of applause. Michael Shine,
I
what
could
is the
also
week's
do
book
the
of the
book.
week? What is it, Richie?
I could do the book too.
You may, since Richie, why do you want to do the book? Just give us a quick share.
Because Walter gave me this book and my business was stuck at $3,000 a month and it changed me to where I am today. I've been giving it to everyone I work with and it's changed their life too.
Richie, in
So
that
if you
case,
only
right
want to
after,
read one book this year, read this. Michael, take it.
there you go, Michael Shine. What is the book of the week?
Okay, so the book of the week is You Are Badass by Jen Sincero. I've read and listened to this book over 50 times. That's how powerful this book is. But I do want to step back before I say that, because bonus book is The Science of Getting Rich. Okay. And as you know, Walter and I read or listen to this book every single week. Obviously, there's different formats because I got this one. But chapter 15 is, I don't know if you can see this, but it's the advancing man. And so when Walter mentions the advancing man, I immediately go to the science of getting rich. And it's all about being an advancing man, excuse me. But the thing about it not changing is this book was written in 1905, I believe. So this concept of the advancing man has not changed for over 100 years. And this book is still being published. And like I said, Walter and I listen to it every Sunday. Amazing. So that's where you get the advancing man. And from that, you get, like Walter said, my absolute favorite book. And I get why Richie would say that he loves this book, because when I was listening to this over and over, every night I would come home and say to Brenda, Jen said this, or Jen said that, Jen said this. There's so many nuggets in this book. And I was thinking before we started that in this community, there are a lot of people who are really good with numbers and get into the whole C mentality, and they crunch numbers. They got to look at it. If it's not the real numbers, it's not real, and you can't make your business grow. Well, I have to tell you that this book shows you that it may be like fake it till you make it, but I don't really believe that. But in one of her chapters, she talks about this band that Jen was in called Crotch, and she had no idea how to play instruments or do any of that. But they just went out and crushed it, and they ended up with like MTV Video. They got a contract for music, all sorts of stuff. So while I think the numbers are important for all the C's out there, I do think there is a little bit of, as Jen says, a little bit of fuck yeah. So go out there and just do it. This book is just so inspiring. It's so much fun to read. Her story about India and traveling around India is just amazing. Her story about Crotch, the band, is amazing. Just every chapter is chock full of it. Get it on your Audible. Listen to it every day. It's just so inspiring, so much fun. And yeah, Jen Sincero is just a rock star. I've gotten to meet her twice actually, and she's just so awesomely cool. Can't recommend this book more highly. When you're done with this book, if you want to change, you can read her second book, which is You Are Badass About Money, which is the green book. I highly recommend it. Love this book. Can't recommend it more highly. Thank you.
Give Michael Shine a big round of applause. The 52 Weeks to Wealth have 52 wealth principles, and they have 52 books that are associated with the principles. The books, remember, people read an average of one book a year in America, and they don't usually finish that book. So if you're reading 52 books in a year, that's a book a week, that gives you a 52-to-1 advantage over the average entrepreneur, over the average American. Show of hands if you don't mind an unfair advantage. Excellent. Let's give Richie Decker a round of applause as well. Let's give Mike Shine a round of applause. Richie, do you want to get us a little more share? What is one of the specific things you learned from this book? And I also want to point out that Gary Aker and Brian Kent are both wearing the recession proof challenge shirts. Let's give them a round of applause. It says, I am recession proof. And the reason they're doing that is because our coaches are being certified right now to teach the recession proof challenge. It has been almost a year since I've taught it, and I said it wasn't scalable with me teaching it by myself because there were too many people coming into the room and we didn't have enough individualism. So our coaches are now going to be able to teach that at the local level for our entrepreneurs starting in September. So let's give our coaches a big round of applause. Let's give Brian Kent and Gary a round of applause. They are recession proof. I am recession proof. Love that shirt. I wore it yesterday. Go ahead, Richie.
First thing it says in the book is that everyone needs an optimization recession proof challenge shirt. I want to get mine this week. But the one story in the book that really changed my life, it talked about your beliefs and money you got from your parents. My dad was an executive at a big bank. We had plenty of money, but he told me when I graduated college, I hate my life because of my job. So I graduated thinking rich people hate their job. That's why I got excited after 7 years of college, taking a job making $35,000. There's no way I can get rich with those beliefs. It's holding me back as a coach. So I renegotiate money. Money is a good thing. Rich people are great. Money grows on trees. And now it is for me. Open the money machine, change your beliefs, take the action.
Give Richie Decker a round of applause. A wonderful share and a wonderful story. And it's true, like my dad told me, money does grow on trees. Go ahead, Michael.
I will say, if that's the issue, if it's things that your parents told you, one of the foundational fives, T. Harv Eker, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, hammers on the 17 money mindsets, that the programs that are in your mind. So I'd recommend that one too, if that's what you're working through. Money doesn't grow on trees, etc.
100%. Obviously, Mike is the keeper of the books. There are 5 books that are foundational to the community. Show of hands if you remember what those foundational 5 are. Excellent. Show of hands if you'd like to know what the foundational 5 are. All right. So the first book is Think and Grow. The first book is Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. It's the purple book. It's the beginner's guide. It's the opening book to getting into the world. The second book is The Richest Man in Babylon. Can't remember who wrote it, but it's The Richest Man in Babylon, and it is one of the best books. Like I told Darina all the time, like when Emerson is at a point where it's time for Daddy to read books to him, that is the first freaking book I am reading to him because it's like a story. It just feels like a story. It's arcade, and it just sounds like a lot of fun. The third book, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, is what Michael Shine is talking about. This book starts really giving you principles. Now, you learn the 5 principles of gold in Richest Man in Babylon, but once you get into the 17 principles of wealth, millionaire mindset principles of Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, you start really getting into the juice of things. The fourth book is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I never give this to a person in the beginning because it's way too hokey. It's way too holistic. The whole concept of think and grow rich. I could never give this to a beginner, but 4 books in, once your mind's gotten a little tapped into the idea of millionaire mind and that these principles might exist and that it might be a lot up here, then finally, after Think and Grow Rich, I can give them the Science of Getting Rich, which is 100% the hokey side. It's all the way deep into the mindset side, and it's where I spend most of my time because that's what's actually worked. The more I think properly, the more I think and do right things, the more often my business grows and expands. Show fans, if you'd like a marketing tip, like a marketing tip of the week, excellent. And Mitch Jorsky, do we have our quote of the week? We got a quote, a fun quote. Well, that's Mitch. Give us a quote. Mike, we're looking for a marketing tip. Mitchell Jorsky, the Scared Guy to Real Estate Investing, will be speaking at the summit this year. What is a quote? Let's give him a big round of applause. What is a quote for this principle? Increase, advancement. Oh, give the impression of increase and advancement. Advancement and increase.
I mean, I'm hitting the easy button on this one because these quotes are from You Are a Badass. So we can just play right off the book of the week. Because I mean, I think as Mike has kind of shared, that book is literally just about removing the roadblock of can't and just believing I can and essentially stepping into your confidence. So, how do we prevent ourselves from doing that? Well, either we live in the past, we worry about what others are going to think of the decisions we're making and things like that. So she said 2 things. One, was don't go digging up bones from the past. It only distracts you from digging up treasures in the present, which spot on, aka stop looking in the rear view. Those bones you left behind, can't do anything about them now. Um, and then, and I love this one because I think it speaks straight to just like having confidence in your decision, and the decisions you make. And she said, the more you love your decision, the less you need others to love them. So, you know, when you have conviction in something, um, don't be afraid to love that decision. Because if you don't, you're going to let people talk you out of it. And when it comes especially to business and investing, you know, generally when someone's talking you out of something, it's fear-based, especially if it's someone that doesn't invest. So just keep those things in mind and, you know, don't be afraid to look forward and step into your confidence.
Give Mitch Shorsky a round of applause. He's a Scared to Cat Guide to Real Estate Investing. He also wrote the book Scared to Cat Guide to Knowing What the Heck Bitcoin Is. So we talk about how he brought his business partner to financial freedom, why he chose his best friend to work with, and why it was so important and so motivating to actually working with his friend. Even if sometimes there's friction in business partnerships, Mitch Shorsky will show you how to get past some of that. We're actually going to talk a little bit about DISC and why certain discs don't really work well together, but you can still accomplish goals even with a inappropriate disc profile within your partnerships. So very, very valuable talk at the summit. Because by the way, show fans, if not all relationships will be perfect, and you got to find a way to get past it. Yeah, it's really important. And it's all great to just pick the right ones, but that's not really always how business works. And Michael Gabriel, marketing tip of the week. And then we're going to go straight to Q&A.
Yeah, so we all know social media is important. And, you know, all the gurus out there will tell you, you got to be posting, you know, even sometimes up to 3 times a day. But, you know, some of the problem is like, okay, what type of content or who can even come up with that much content to create? But there is a way to hijack kind of the algorithm. And what people are doing that have been successful right now with getting ideas to create content is finding, like in your niche, a viral video, and then taking that video and splicing it to where you do a review. So you let the video run, you are watching it, it's spliced kind of in the corner. They're giving some tip or some, you know, value-based content on, you know, your niche. And then at the end of it, you give a review on it. So what it does is the algorithm knows what's hot, right? And you start playing that video, the algorithm, you're basically hijacking someone else's viral content. And all you have to do is give a review at the end. And that's the tip of the day.
Let's give Michael Gabriel a round of applause. Michael, where were you? Where were you, man? This morning when I posted this post about this guy teaching his teenager how to evaluate a property and make $9 million on the purchase, I was like, "Whoa, this is a good video. I need to share this to the community." I never considered throw 30 seconds of me reviewing that concept right at the end of the video. Awesome, awesome. Michael's our traffic driver. He drives traffic to the summit. He drives traffic to the 52 Weeks to Wealth, to our virtual networking. So let's give Michael Gabriel a big round of applause. Appreciate you, brother. He's been inside the community for years, buying real estate, building his business. In fact, he's one of those few people who, when he came into the mentorship program, I said, Michael, you don't belong buying real estate right now. You really, 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 really belong building your marketing business. And Michael's now got his marketing business to bringing in multiple 6 figures a year, which in the marketing world, by the way, Michael, I don't know if you ever looked at what the EBITDA is for a marketing business, but it's multiple of 4 to 8 times your revenue. So your EBITDA. So if you're not revenue, but EBITDA, which is your profits. So if you're looking at your business and saying, man, this is probably worth about 5 to 6 times or 4 to 8 times what I bring in each year in my profits, you've got $1 million business. Let's give Michael Gabriel a big round of applause. He's crushed it. And that's one of the few times I've said, man, your business is, for you right now, where you're at and what the market is better than investing in real estate. Now he's investing in real estate because he's got the cash flow. So fans, we understand. I'm not going to give that advice to everybody, but it does occasionally happen. Awesome. Let's open up to Q&A. Roland Charles, You're up, brother.
So I just wanted to touch on something you said earlier. You said when Emerson is at the age when you can read him the book, you're going to read that book to him first. And I'll tell you that age is now. Um, the age is now. The age was when he was still in Dorina's belly. Just start early because they are picking up. I mean, they may not understand everything they're hearing, but they are putting things together as you talk. So start reading to them now.
Give Roland Charles a round of applause. Wonderful dad advice. I love it. I love it. I've been teaching him lots of stuff. You know, I don't know if it's all catching, but we've been talking about leg day a lot. We've been talking about up and down and and how this is very similar to real estate. So we're having a blast. Next week's Wealth Principle is 43. Understand the power of demographics. And we're going to go into the laws of human nature by Robert Greene. So it's a very powerful, tactical, who is your avatar book. We're going to go into really break down how to find the information, how to dig in, how to pull lists. Very, very tactical training next week. So if you know somebody in the marketing space who's struggling with their avatar, doesn't know who their customer is, whether they're a friend or a partner, or you just want to get somebody on board with you in your business, next week is a really good week to bring somebody who's looking to figure out how to understand demographics. If they're real estate investors and they're trying to figure out emerging markets, it's a good, I won't go deep into emerging markets, but maybe on the Wednesday call afterwards, I'll tease that out. So let's continue with the Q&A sessions. By the way, Wealth Principle 43 is Understand the Power of Demographics. Book of the week will be The Laws of Nature. That's next week, Saturday at 10 a.m. You're welcome to invite as many people as you'd like. And here's what I'll tell you. Invite them now, because as soon as this call's over, you've already forgotten. So if you know somebody who you want to bring into the concept of getting their business running, crushing it, and you want them knowledgeable on their avatar, or even if you need them to know that they need to have an avatar, next week will be a very good week for them. Coaches, it's a great principle to bring your community to, because I'm going to be telling them that they need to jump onto the RPC with you next week. So fans, if you understand, if you're a coach, it's a good week to drive some traffic to. Do it for you. All right, let's start with Q&A. Questions on advancement, or if you have a share when this worked for you, or when you bought into a company because you're like, damn, like this company's going somewhere. Any one of those shares works. In fact, I'd like to go to Brian Kent, who is on our board of advisors on Alchemist Nation and wearing a wonderful shirt. He's wearing the I Am Recession Proof shirt. Brian, where do you see this showing up? I know you do a lot of government contracts and huge deals. Where has this shown up with investing? I know you're doing the fund right now, so you're building the fund for Alchemist Nation. Where is this showing up as you're going out to get international money to invest in U.S. projects?
Yeah, so the market is, as you can imagine, around the world, everybody's getting scared. You had the global meltdown last week, but that means there's opportunities out there. I mean, things are starting to get cheap. So I just literally, while I was in Washington, D.C. this week, bought a portion of a company. So you'll see that company pop up here in Tampa pretty soon. But yeah, I'm looking forward to raising money for the fund, because I just think that over the next 12 to 18 months, there's going to be opportunities that people in the fund and in this nation here will get some great opportunities. But definitely watch for good buys. I mean, some of the real estate markets, as we all know, are not good buys, but they're out there. And there's a lot of good businesses right now that are having problems because they just can't pay 9%. So you might get them for 30 or 40 cents on the dollar.
Give Brian Kent a round of applause. Many of you have asked for us to do a fund. Many of you have asked for a way to invest with Alchemist Nation, to get involved in our deals at a high level or at a micro level. And Brian has answered that question. So did you see the answers to your questions? Oh, Patrick. Yeah, shoot him out here, man. Jeremy, what was Patrick asking? Let's just dialogue it right here.
Yeah, so Patrick is like, what's the website? What is this group all about? What do you do? Who are you? Like evidently he's not in the panelist list, so he's not been here before. So hi Patrick, want to make sure you're getting your answers.
Awesome. So the website, yep, go ahead.
I already put the website in the comments and answered. I did his Q&A flag. I put the Alchemist Nation website as well as the Facebook group in there. So he should see both of those. How do you buy?
Awesome. So
real estate and companies. Okay.
I love it. So this Wednesday, we're actually going to be talking about how to purchase real estate via foreclosures, how to help a person who's going through foreclosure actually sell their house and not lose everything, not lose their credit. So that is going to be run by Tashin, who's in our mastermind, and he's been doing these deals in New York, which is a really hard market. By the way, let's give Jeremy Roadruck a round of applause. I'm looking at the chat now, like Jeremy's been lighting it up. Really appreciate it, brother. Michael Shine as well, Mitch Jorsky as well, Jay Miller in there. Awesome, awesome. Coach Gio in there. Thank you so much for keeping an eye on the chat while we were running through the training. And yes, Wednesday, the link will be workwithinvestors.com. Workwithinvestors.com, as in it's a command, as in you should workwithinvestors.com. So I will be sharing the 7 desires that all investors have, but then we'll be dropping deep right into foreclosures and how that is happening right now and how to leverage them and how to communicate with the banks. Tashin's got a lot of experience on it. And like Brian Kent was just telling us, these are coming, right? There are opportunities happening right now in the marketplace. And it's super, super, super important that you get your shit together today and know how to operate in these, because if you fumble one of these, you're really ruining people's lives. So it's really important that you have it done properly. You know how to do it. The other side of it is you do it right. You're going to make a ton of money and you're going to help a family. So working in the foreclosure space and the short sale space is extremely important. It's extremely lucrative. It's extremely profitable. And it's also extremely sensitive. And so it's really important that you bring your best, like you know what you're doing and you bring your game to the game. So for each of you who are considering that you may end up working with people, oh yes, Sana, you're right. That is the wrong link. Agents.alchemistnation.com, because workwithinvestors.com doesn't work at the moment. Ron Bowling is going to make sure that, or Gary, both of them are busting asses to make sure somebody's doing something to fix that. Ron, can we make that domain come over to GoDaddy? Because that's the reason. It's just because it's hosted in the wrong place.
It already is.
Freaking awesome. Let's make sure it gets a security tag or whatever it needs. Because I love saying workwithinvestors.com. But don't go to workwithinvestors.com. Go to agents.alchemistnation.com. And that's how you get access to this Wednesday. We're going to go deeper into how to buy houses at foreclosure, short sales, which are coming back. More questions. First to unmute wins. Because after this, I just got to go work on that net worth tracker and the Millionaire Path report, and it's going to be work. Go ahead, Billy.
What's up, guys? I'm going to do my best to speak quickly because I have 3 big takeaways that I think would be very useful for this group. Talking about the book of the week, You Are a Badass, it brought up a lot for me, and I think this would be very beneficial for all of you. A lot of times, without getting too science in the coaching aspect, your unconscious mind is stuck for right now. So labeling your advancement is huge, right? Like when I ran a ton of martial arts facilities, my language was always visualize yourself as a black belt. How would a black belt punch, kick, make their bed, right? Same thing. You're putting yourself in a future pace of advancement. Now, power producer, right? Or you don't have to use power producer. How would a high-performing man, how would an advancing man, or use the book of the week, how would a badass plan their day? How would a badass make cold calls? When you put yourself in an identity that is advancing from where you are, it gives yourself permission to act in a way that will not be bound down by your unconscious. I hope that wasn't too sciencey. So label it. You can make it your own name, right? Badass Mike, cool. Badass Billy, whatever it is, you put characteristics to this advancing characteristic, and that's how you really aspire and grow. That's 1. 2, what's really powerful with the trust factor that Walter was saying is in the market, and I think Michael Gabriel can kind of chime into this, trust is everything. And we're really coming out of the concept of who do we trust, because so many people were really just putting marketing out there that was not really trustworthy. And I found too, and Walter, maybe you can speak to this, people really do lean into what you show them, don't tell them. Right. And I think that's really important. Right. So I'm not in any sector, but I literally put out, me and my partner, we just hired 5 more people. People like advancement, right? I'm showing that I'm doing the work. Monday, I'm kickstarting a whole new fitness journey. I'm going to post about it. I'm not a fitness coach, right? People really do like, oh, this guy's actually doing the shit. He's doing the work. He's doing it. He's showing versus telling. That is really, really critical. You got to balance it with content. Join the RPC for that if you want to learn content strategies, right? A little plug for you because I love you guys. And the last thing really quick is I think it'd be very useful for everyone to truly write down, what does an advancing human mean for you? What does your advanced life look like? Work in 90-day segments, but don't just think about it on a Saturday call. Literally, I'm giving you like real tactics here. Write it down in your own language, what your 90-day ideal vision is. And here's the cool thing. Every morning, put that as a morning habit. I call it reviewing your direction. Every morning, read your language, not Billy Reuter, not Walter, your language, your life, your goals, what means most to you. You take that vision and for 2 minutes, align. Hey, it's 11:11. Love you guys, right? Align that vision with your daily action plan and ask this question. Does my daily action plan, the movements I'm doing today, are they in alignment with the vision that I just spoke? And if not, course correct and hit your day with commitment. Love you all. Thanks for your time.
Give Billy Reuter a big round of applause. Billy will be speaking at the summit about his trifecta. It's the 3 things every entrepreneur needs in order to level up their income, increase their impact, and get to the next level. The summit is designed for success. It's designed for cash flow. It's designed for income this year. We're not focused too heavily on net worth, although I did just confirm on Friday night there will be a very exclusive real estate only event. So we're going to have some networking. It'll be free open after 6 o'clock. You can do whatever you want. But also at 7, if you line up and sign up, you'll be able to get access to a 2-hour real estate specific training. That'll be me, Vinny, a couple of our, Mitch Chorsky, a couple of real estate specific panels. So we'll be doing Q&A and we're going to be showing what we think the market's doing. So if you're not into real estate investing, don't worry. That's not for you. But if you do want the scoop, the specific multifamily scoop on what's happening in the real estate market, then you just have to apply, and we're not charging anything extra for it, but it is just specifically you have to register and say, hey, I want to be a part of the real estate night. Show fans, if that makes sense. This way we're not taking you out of, but last year I got complaints that we were too real estate heavy and people didn't want to learn all about the multifamily and the real estate stuff. So there's going to be a little separation. I watched Grant Cardone do this like 3 years ago, and I said, that's crazy. Why would he ever do that? And now I get it, because a lot of people do want to just go network and go do their thing. And there's a few of us who just really want to dive a little deeper into what the freaking market's doing and how we can get our multifamily portfolios built. So it's just for the players who want the multifamily side. And for those who are like, hey, I really just need to get my network built, we've got that too. So we got a few more minutes left. Let's get a couple of shares. First, unmute wins. Let's one more time give Billy Reuter a big round of applause. I cannot wait. I can't wait for the summit. I can't wait to meet so many of you in person. There's many of you I have not met in person, which is like, to me, going to be a tremendous opportunity for high fives and selfies. And don't worry, I've already spent, I think Dorina can confirm this, I think it's $10,000 on cameramen and videos. So if you have a testimonial or a great story that you want to tell at the summit, please find one of my guys and just say, hey, I want to tell a story, or I got to give a testimonial because Alchemy Stations changed my life, or here's a deal I did. I'm loving case studies. Like, that is something I really want to push forward this year, is here's what I did. Here's how I got this result. So if you have a really cool story, I would love to have that shared at the summit this year, so that we can start putting that out in our content and say, hey, look, here's somebody who's not Gwalter being successful. Here's somebody else who's being successful. Here's how this person did it. It's totally different from Gwalter. So if you got a story where you increased income, that is something that I'd love for you to bring that to the summit. Find one of my camera crew and just say, hey, look, I want to do a quick video. And I just want to share my story of like how I made money and why Alchemist Nation is the place that I did it at. And let's take Michelle Young, who I'm going to put her on the spot, because Michelle Young this week in the Recession Proof Challenge said that she was thinking about starting a podcast. She was thinking about it because she's doing all these interviews of all of our entrepreneurs in Gainesville. Everybody who goes to Gainesville, she books a one-on-one call and she interviews them. And then she makes a post about them inside the Gainesville group. So Gainesville's like lighting up. Like, all these entrepreneurs are like, dude, like, I'm getting promoted. And it's like professional. It's really nice. And I was like teasing out, like, man, like, I really wish like our local coaches were doing podcasts. And Michelle said that she was actually thinking about doing a podcast. So Michelle, how far is that thought going? Why does it make so much sense for you?
Well, I haven't thought much more about it, to be honest. I had thought about it, but then it was how things align. Walter, during the RPC, mentioned, don't know, what did you mention? Something similar to doing that. And I was like, just 2 hours, that thought crossed my mind. Like, I could turn this into a podcast. So to me, that was just me planting that seed. And I'll probably be just thinking about it a little more. But yeah, you said it is very simple. So it is a simple process. It's really just doing it. So I will be thinking about it
And I'll
more.
add one more thing. This is why it makes so much sense. Her podcast will have the name of her city in it, SEO friendly. Screw national podcasts. That's not how you get successful as a local coach or local business owner. You need a podcast that says the local name of the city because that's who's going to listen to it. Some people who either want to move there or do business there or live there. And as long as the name afterwards is very SEO related to who your avatar is, it's the perfect podcast to run. She's interviewing entrepreneurs, so she's probably, and she runs the Business Real Estate Professionals Network in Gainesville. That's probably going to be Gainesville Business and Real Estate Professionals podcast.
I think just in line with
Clever idea.
like what Billy was saying and everything, it's really, I think I would want to envision what that would look like. And then that would, cause me to take the steps to get there.
Girl, we're
Essentially.
on it. I already got Billy Reuter seeking you, like suck on you. He's gonna get it done. Go ahead, Michael Gabriel.
I have an idea for you, Michelle. I think kind of to back up what Billy was saying, sometimes people just like to follow the journey of people, and that's how they attach themselves because they want to see people win and they want to go along the path, whether it's good or bad. But I think you should absolutely do the podcast, and I would turn that podcast into a book. And every chapter of the book has that person that you've highlighted. That gives you the ability, one, to maybe even have a lead magnet or to build your list or to even get more people to listen to your podcast. Because, I mean, you could even pay, those people could even pay to be on the book if you really wanted to go that route. But I think turning a podcast of the journeys of these entrepreneurs, I think that would be great. If you follow Russell Brunson, he did the same thing with his 30 days. I think it was like in 30 days, what would you do to, rebuild your business? And every chapter was a different entrepreneur. So I think that would be a good idea for you.
Awesome. Thank you.
I love that.
Yeah.
In fact, you got my brain thinking, Mike. If I would love to go and interview. I used to say this, Michael, that I was going to do that with the Alchemist Station podcast, interview all the syndicators and like all the people who became millionaires and ask their stories and then go and write a book on it. I never did it. Now I'm talking shit about Michelle Young, like not getting her podcast started in 10 minutes after discussing it. And Michael Gabriel's bringing this back up. Let's give these guys a big round of applause. This tribe pushes all of us. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Yeah, so I sent you a text. I don't think you've seen it yet, but my wife and I were talking, and I looked at Spreaker. There's a character limit, so it's Fort Lauderdale Business and Real Estate Pros would be the name because there's a character limit. I need to figure out an image. I need to figure out a category, which I'm going to just say business. But what we can do is, one, we don't want to create too much extra work, so have a VA do some things if you've got one. But if we added a Google number, so that you get a Google Voice and like, hey, if you want, you do a 10-minute conversation with someone, have a standard, because Michelle, you have a process, you talk to people, you extract certain information, you write a post that kind of has a certain flow to it, and you highlight different pieces about them. So we already have best practices on how to extract the data. You're putting it into your Facebook group. So if you just did a Zoom call and recorded it just to get the audio, and you could put pictures of them and their business on screen. So it's like, you don't have to do a lot of brain power and we don't have to be camera ready, although my hair is always perfect. But what we do is at the end, it's a 10-minute interview. And at the end, hey, Gainesville, Florida, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, if you run a business and you want to be featured, call this number and tell us about you and why you would be a good candidate. Now we've created an environment where people are justifying their business. And if you don't talk to the major players in your city, they're going to be pissed that they're not on, and they're going to be like, who is this upstart, which gets traffic, gets attention, gets energy. But you just start networking, and we do one of these a day and just build a backlog, but it's take a weekend, record 7, then publish them. So that way it's on your schedule and your convenience. But 365 people that you've had a one-on-one conversation with who want to get in your thing, and you've got more people reaching out. Hey guys, I'm not available to do this. How long before we start getting paid to have people come speak and be interviewed? This can become another pillar, another profit center. And then you can do an event beyond just your weekly meetup. You could do once a quarter, invite the people that you had for networking, connection. And so it's extra touch points and extra ways to build stickiness. The only challenge is, oh my God, this is this great big huge thing. And then we can get overwhelmed by over chunking. So how can we make this as simple and efficient as possible to do the least minimum effort to get the maximum result at this moment, and then iterate it? It can get more impressive and it can get bigger over time, but just like the next 30 days, the next week, the next 10 days, the next 10 minutes, the more you chunk down, the easier it is to get into momentum, and then the momentum will start to carry. So I've already got like 2/3 of it done, and I don't even have a Facebook group nearly as busy as yours. And it was 15 minutes to set it up on Spreaker. So
Give
some things
Jeremy
to think about.
Roadruck a round of applause. What a great share. And I'll add to the layers of simplicity to that. Spreaker and Restream and Zoom. That's my tech stack. So Zoom automatically pulls the audio of anything that you put out there as a separate file. So that is what I upload to Spreaker. I use ChatGPT as my description creator, but I know Jennifer Michelle already does this. And then for the video, I take the video and I restream it into YouTube. It goes into my Facebook. It goes into my Instagram. And I'll take that and I'll drop it into Opus Pro later and let that cut little clips of whatever the best thing in that podcast was. And so I end up with these wonderful clips that end up being reels that I put out on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook, on all the reel platforms, Snapchat, and I have them drive back to just the podcast. Just the podcast, just the Facebook group, just the podcast. And that is the central point. And that it's a small tech stack, but it simplifies everything. Spreaker, when you set it up, it automatically puts it out on iTunes, on Spotify, and all the different platforms. So that's one touch, and it's nice and simple audio. So you just create the description, which again comes from Zoom. Zoom will transcribe the whole thing. So you just cut that out, drop that into ChatGPT, and it creates the description for you. Show a fan if this is a lot easier. Now that we're talking about it, the deeper we go into it, the easier it gets, the simpler it gets. It then just becomes like Gary's leadership tip: show up. Book the call with the person, show up, ask the same 5-6 questions every single time. The same questions. People love format. One of the best parts about my podcast is I might always end with the same question. Hey, if you go back to 20-year-old you, 21-year-old you, what 3 pieces of advice would you give to get here happier, healthier, and richer? And man, that question, that format, oh, I got the best 3 pieces of advice from that human being every single time. And like you could just build off of those 3 pieces of advice and say, wow, over and over, what do people keep telling me? By the way, show fans, if you'd like to know what people keep telling me after years of doing that podcast. 3 pieces of advice from the richest people that I spoke to. One was your spouse is the most important asset in your life. And they weren't fucking around. Their spouse was not listening. They didn't give a shit what their wife or husband thought. They said it because they meant it. That is truly their most valuable asset, because if your spouse isn't on board, you're not on board. If they don't know where you're going, if they don't want you going there, man, you're not going there. It's just that's the truth. But if they know where you're going, know what motivates you, know how to push you to get there, know how to inspire you to get there, know how to put things in your path, know how to clear your schedule, know how to recharge you, man, your spouse is going to be the most valuable thing in your life. And this is consistent. All the podcasts, it always make sure they mention it. The second one was mentors. You said it. Because again, look, we're talking about relationships. First one, the closest relationship. Second one, the relationship that's pulling you towards where you want to go. The second one was always mentors. It was wherever you want to go, you got to find somebody who's done it and then ask them a bunch of questions. And they had all sorts of different strategies of how to do that, of how to build mentorship, like what their strat was for that. But that was first was their spouse. Second one was their mentors. And then third would vary. Really, it would vary. But most of the time I would hear this. I'd go back and I'd tell myself either to believe that it was possible, to think bigger, or to let go of the past. Those are the 3. It was like it was all around believe you can do it. right? That was kind of like that principle that kept coming out over and over and over. It was believe it's possible, think bigger, or let go of the past. And they'd always give me one variation of that. So fans, we understand how important these three things are to millionaires, multimillionaires, and billionaires. Spouse, your mentors, and then your belief systems, right? Just aim towards what you want. Don't aim towards anything else. Get your spouse on board, get the right mentors to lead you towards that. And for the most part, well, I hate to say this, but it almost kind of happens for you if you surround yourself with a supportive spouse that knows where you're going, a mentor who knows where you're going, and then you know where you're going, and you believe it's going to be fun, and you get yourself towards it. You are become the advancing. Mike said advancing man. I say advancing person, right? The advancing person who's getting to the next level. Because a lot of you on this call are woman, and here's one more layer to this before I jump off. Every millionaire that I've met is married. Most millionaires that I've met are married. We'll call that the 95%. I see Mitch Jorsky on there. 95% of the millionaires that I know and have met and spent time with. I know, Ron. Okay, the exception is not the rule, guys. Are married. And here's another fun fact. 50% of the millionaires that I know are women. Who made the wealth? The question is yet to be known. You know, the guys always like to brag about how they did stuff, but the women are like, yeah, it's right. You're right. You did it. Uh-huh. Sure. Yeah, you did all that. That's right. I know Dorina has done more behind the scenes calls for me than I can count that have pushed me into the right spots, into the right positions, into doing the right things. So yeah, spouses are really important. Make sure your spouse is on board with you. Make sure they're showing up to the calls. At the summit, there's a reason we give you your spouse ticket for free. We want your spouse there, unless you're VIP, in which case, yeah, guys, 40 spots. You want your spouse on the side, you got to pay. I'm sorry. That's just how the game works. Next week, Wealth Principle 43, Understand the Power of Demographics. The book of the week will be The Laws of Human Nature. The 52 Weeks to Wealth is designed for you to get leveled up, to increase your income, to generate income. Remember, the point is not to work. It's to generate income. Each of you has the capacity to help more people. I know you're not helping enough because you showed up to this call. If you thought you were helping enough people, you wouldn't be here. If you were complacent in your life and you didn't want to level up and get to the next level, you wouldn't be on this call in this community. So cheers to your success. I'm so thankful for your commitment to yourself, your family, your business, your career, and for whatever impact you're going to create beyond all of that. I'll see you in the next one. When you have a choice, always work with the best. See you next week.
Yes, sir.
I'll see you Wednesday. agents.alchemistnation.com.
How about Monday?
Later, Eric. Eric, I can't wait to visit Houston, man.
Hey, oh yeah, it's coming, baby. It's coming.
Oh, you don't even know it's coming. You are in my top 10 cities to visit. So I got Houston on my charts. Me and Gary are both looking right at you, man.
Hey, I'm coming to
you
Gainesville.
And Kingsley. Gainesville's exciting. Cheers.